Hello everybody, I think I'm live. Yes, I should be. I hope you can all hear me. Yay, someone joined in, and thank you all for those that are joining live and also to those who are watching the replay. I wanted to jump on here and talk today about where do we begin with our international tax situation. Where to begin? That is the big question. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say hello everybody. Let me know in the comments where you're joining from. There's quite a few of you joining in. And also let me know your text questions, although I will start talking about where do we begin. Hey Alice, so good to see you from Puerto Rico. Oh no, okay, what's your thoughts on Puerto Rico? Yeah. Great solution, I guess, for especially Americans. Alice joining from New Zealand, Canada, hello. Netherlands, wow, amazing. Okay, so firstly, I wanted to say thank you for being here with me. Thanks to those that are watching the replay. And where shall you begin with your international tax situation? You know, if you've been following me, I mostly deal with digital nomads, location independent entrepreneurs. So I'm mostly talking to you guys, those of you that love traveling, those of you that love moving around. How do you figure out your international tax situation? Well, first up, I just want to tell you that the current tax laws weren't written in a time where it was really possible to generate an income from anywhere. So it's completely normal for all of you digital nomads out there, location independent entrepreneurs, that you feel lost whenever you look at international tax rules and where you should begin, because it is very confusing. Yeah, if rules were written in the 80s, then there's not much that applies still to this day and age, because we are taking the major benefits of having a digitalized economy, which means we're basically able to produce an income from anywhere. And governments are trying to catch up, definitely. They are trying to catch up in terms of writing new regulations, new rules on an international level and also on a national level. This can be best demonstrated by, for example, the new digital services tax that came out, whereby tech giants are being attacked, and they are now basically required to pay taxes on where their consumers are located and no longer where their businesses are incorporated, which is quite a new thing that has appeared. But it just goes to show that yes, governments are realizing that, oh my God, you know, digitalized economy, people are no longer really contributing to taxes wherever they're incorporated. So let's go and tax them wherever their consumers are located. That is mostly now being implemented to big tech giants. But who knows how long it will take to trigger down to small businesses. Another thing as well is that countries are changing tax residency rules. The first one to jump on that trend was the UK, and now other countries are following, because tax residency rules were made in a time when people just were born in one place, they grew up in one place, they studied and worked in one place, so there wasn't much to figure out in terms of taxes. But now that we can just all the time jump on an airplane, move from country to the next country, countries had to figure out their tax residency rules and rewrite them. And a lot of times it's very hard to figure out where you're a tax resident of if it's only taken into consideration factors such as accommodation ties or family ties or economic ties, business ties. So that's why the UK actually changed to a day counting test, as Australia is wanting to do the same. So lots of changes within the tax law space. So where do you begin with all of these new changes that are coming in? How do you figure out your international tax situation, especially as a digital nomad, as someone, as a remote worker, an expat who is able to live anywhere basically and work from anywhere? Well, my first recommendation would be don't procrastinate on your tax situation. And what I mean by that is, don't just, I know taxes is something that not everyone wants to deal with, but don't just put it aside for years until you start making a significant income and then deal with it. Rather deal with it right now, look at where you're at, and simply figure out what your current tax situation is. Because I have dealt with people who have left their home countries 8 years ago, sometimes even 10 years ago, and they have still been contributing taxes to their home country, which usually in a high taxing Western country can be 30%. On top of that, put social security contributions, which then would end up being almost 40%. So if you are someone who has moved abroad or has spent a lot of time abroad or moving around, and you're not really spending that much time in your home country, why are you putting this subject or topic off and not really dealing with it? That's a lot of money to simply be giving away to a government if you're not there most of the time and you're not really taking the benefits, so to speak, of the money that you're giving away. So don't procrastinate on this subject wherever you're at. You don't need to be a millionaire or hitting 6-7 figures to have a tax strategy in place. You can start early on. So don't put it aside. Make sure that you combine your love with traveling with being able to reduce your taxes. So if you're already really into that lifestyle of moving around, of working from your laptop these days, then dig into this topic and find out what tax benefits will be available to you. And then the second thing would be track your expenses. It's another thing that we put off, that we don't really like to do that much, but record keeping will be basically your best friend, especially when it comes to taxes, because how are you going to know, for those of you that are still in your high taxing Western country that haven't set up somewhere else in a other low tax country, how are you going to know how much taxes you're going to have to pay if you don't really stay on top of your record keeping, of your bookkeeping? And there's so many software out there these days, just to name a few: Instabooks, Xero, Wave Accounting, QuickBooks, FreshBooks. There's so many options out there. And really what I hear most entrepreneurs saying is that they were just so surprised of how massive their tax bill is. And that is just the case if you are not staying on top of your financials. Because if you were, you could really do some calculations around how much you will have to pay in the future. And also it's just a good exercise to keep for the future. Even for my clients that we set up in tax havens that are paying 0% corporate tax rates and who have small businesses set up in a tax havens, I even tell them to keep doing the exercise of record keeping and bookkeeping, just because it's good to know what your situation is within the business in terms of profit and loss, how much cash at hand you have, how much you owe your debtors, and all of those figures that will help you know what your current financial situation is, and so that you're not going to be surprised at the end of the day with a massive tax bill. Or also that you know what tax benefits you can qualify for. In some countries you might have tax grants available or subsidies. So it's good to know your figures to know whether or not you actually qualify as a small business or as a larger business who will have access to those tax grants that are available and tax incentives that are available to you. And lastly, I would say have a look where you're currently at in your journey of a business owner. If you are a business owner, maybe you're just someone who has a hobby on the side and it's starting to get a little bit lucrative. Maybe you're a hobby photographer, hobby videographer. Now you're looking at whether or not you should set up a business. Depending on where you're at in your journey, there will be different tax incentives available. So sit down, have a talk to yourself, figure out where you're at. Are you at that stage of being a hobby, whatever it is? Or are you at the stage of a freelancer already? Are you registered somewhere as a freelancer, or are you maybe registered somewhere as a self-employed person? Let me know in the comments if you are a small business owner, or if you're already on the journey of having registered as a freelancer anywhere. And if so, have a look as well, do a little bit of a due diligence and check whether or not you're at the best stage with your current tax situation. Because depending on where you're at, if you're a freelancer, there might be some freelancer benefits available to you that are not necessarily available for business owners, and the other way around as well. There might be some benefits available to business owners who have a whatever sort of limited liability company structure you might set up that business owners have that freelancers wouldn't necessarily have. And then lastly, if I can leave you with one big recommendation, it's as soon as you start making a certain amount of regular income, definitely consider changing from a freelancer structure into a small business entity, whatever that is, limited liability companies or LTDs, wherever you're at, because the benefits of having a business are quite significant, because businesses have their own corporate tax rates as opposed to individuals who are taxed on their personal income tax rate. And usually personal income tax rates are way significantly higher than corporate tax rates. So that's one of the biggest advantages, is definitely to set up a business, because you will be able to gain the benefits of having a lower tax rate. Now, especially for those people that are still set up in the high taxing Western countries, as I said at the beginning, your personal income tax rate might usually somewhere be around 30%, even up to 40% if you calculate like all the pension contributions and social security contributions. And if you compare that to the usual corporate tax rate, even in Western countries, which is around 20%, 25%, that's already 10% less. So think of the benefits that a business structure might bring to your business, to your hobby that you want to create a more lucrative structure around it. Yeah, so that's pretty much it in answering the questions of where should you begin. Now, I am hosting a live webinar in 1 day, 14 hours and 21 minutes. There's a countdown on the website, and I hope to see you all there. I've just posted the link to the webinar registration page in the comments, and there's also a link in my bio, and we will go over a very juicy topic within this masterclass on how to reduce your overall taxes through your tax residency. Very common mistakes that digital nomads make, so that you don't keep doing them, the simple roadmap to clarity and confidence around your whole tax strategy, because that's how I want you guys to feel around your tax strategy, and simply the key of how to use your tax residency within your tax strategy. Yes, I will try to pin the link. I'll drop it in again within the comments if it lets me. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, I hope to see you guys there, and make sure you register so you can attend this live masterclass. And thank you so much, guys, for your attention and your time. And thanks again for those that are watching the replay. Take care.